The cake was already in the car. Triple layer chocolate ganache, custom made from the place in town her mom adored. I had my button-up ironed, my watch polished, even got a damn haircut for the occasion. Her dad's retirement party was supposed to be a celebration for all of us. Family. Together. I walked into the banquet hall 30 minutes early because that's the kind of guy I am. I like to help set up. I like to be useful. But the minute I stepped through the door, I knew something was off. The decorations were up, the tables full, people already buzzing with laughter and toasts. And there she was. Alyssa. My wife. Wearing the red dress she said she'd never wear again because it was too tight for her arms. Laughing with her sister Madison and her cousin Blake, the one who used to flirt with her before we got married. She didn't see me at first. Or maybe she did and just pretended not to. I walked over and said, loud enough for a few people to hear, "I'll bring dessert to the family barbecue tomorrow." Her head whipped around so fast I thought she'd get whiplash. Then, that smirk. That smug, pitiful smirk I'll never forget. "Oh," she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "You weren't invited?" It wasn't a question. It was a dagger. Madison didn't even flinch. She pulled out her phone and started scrolling, showing pictures of tables, speeches, people posing together. And none of them had me in it. "It's kind of a close family thing," Alyssa added with a shrug, sipping her wine like she wasn't stabbing me in front of 50 people. I just nodded, didn't say a word, turned around and walked out. My hand didn't shake until I hit the parking lot. And then I canceled the venue. The one I had booked. The one they forgot I paid for. They had planned everything, speeches, catering, music, except me. Except the husband. That was the first time I allowed myself to think it. Something's going on. But what I didn't know that day, what I couldn't possibly have prepared for, was how deep the rot really went. You see, when you marry someone, you imagine a future. Late-night talks, inside jokes, raising kids, growing old. But what if the person you trusted most, the one who once cried during your vows, starts looking at you like you're an extra in a movie where she's the star? I drove around for 2 hours that night. Ended up at a gas station outside town, sipping burnt coffee, trying to piece together the fragments. I kept asking myself, how long has she been planning this? The next morning, I noticed something else. Her phone, normally glued to her hand, was left on the counter. Unlocked. And maybe God was looking down on me, or maybe he just wanted me to know the truth. Because what I saw there made the retirement party feel like kindergarten betrayal. Photos. Messages. Hotel bookings. And a name I didn't recognize. Jason. One message read, "Can't wait to see you tonight. He still thinks I'm at book club LOL." Another said, "We're that thing I like. Don't make me wait too long, smiling face with orange dot." I stood there in my kitchen, her phone in one hand and my whole world crumbling in the other. Alyssa came downstairs 15 minutes later, yawning, stretching, not a care in the world. She kissed my cheek like she hadn't just erased years of trust behind my back. I stared at her, memorizing the way her lips curled, the gloss on her mouth, wondering if it was his. She reached for her phone. I didn't flinch, just watched her face. The moment her fingers touched the screen, her whole expression changed. Like a switch. "Where is it?" she asked, voice tight. I handed it to her. Smiled. "Don't worry. I didn't delete anything." Her face went pale, then flushed. Then she sneered. "You had no right." "No," I said. "I had every right." This was the moment the curtain started to fall. The retirement party was just the appetizer. But the main course? That was still to come. And I was no longer the husband who brought dessert. I was the man with a war chest full of rage. She didn't even try to deny it at first. She just stood there, frozen, like a kid caught with her hand in the cookie jar. Then came the shift. That icy, condescending tone she uses when she wants to act like I'm the problem. "I can't believe you went through my phone. That's such a violation of trust." I laughed. Actually laughed. Not because it was funny, God, it wasn't, but because hearing her talk about trust felt like some cosmic joke. I had trusted her with my life, my heart, every inch of who I was. And she was texting a guy named Jason to meet her in hotel rooms while I was working late to pay for her yoga retreats and facial injectables. She rolled her eyes and crossed her arms. "It's not what you think." "No," I said, stepping closer, gripping the edge of the kitchen island like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. "Then explain to me what this is." I held up her phone, the message still glowing on the screen like a spotlight on stage. "Can't wait to see you tonight? We're that thing I like." Sounds pretty damn clear to me. She snatched the phone back. "I was lonely. Okay? You're always working. You never ask how I feel. You haven't touched me in weeks. And instead of telling me that, I said through clenched teeth, you crawled into bed with some guy named Jason and let him do God knows what while I was busy paying the mortgage. Her face twisted. Don't act like you're some saint. You've been emotionally distant for months. I slammed my fist on the counter, not hard enough to break anything, but enough to stop her little performance. You're deflecting. This isn't about me. You lied. You planned it. You hid it. Don't you dare spin this like I pushed you to cheat. That was when the tears came. Not real ones, not the kind that come from shame or guilt. These were tactical tears. Ones she used when she didn't want to answer questions. Jason made me feel wanted again. He listens. He compliments me. You used to be like that. I turned away before I said something I couldn't take back. My heart was pounding, my jaw tight, my hands shaking from a cocktail of fury and disbelief. I had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in my head after reading those messages, but nothing prepares you for hearing it out loud. For hearing your wife tell you that another man made her feel wanted. I took a deep breath. How long? Silence. How long, Alyssa? She sighed. Almost 6 months. 6 months. Half a year. 2 seasons. Birthdays, holidays, Sunday mornings in bed, all a lie. Were you with him the night of your mom's surgery? I asked, the pieces clicking into place now like a jigsaw puzzle from hell. She looked down. You said you were stuck in traffic. I waited for you for hours. Yeah. A pit opened in my stomach, and for a second, I thought I was going to be sick. She had let her own mother go under the knife alone because she was busy playing house with another man. I walked to the hallway closet and pulled out my gym bag. Started tossing things into it. A change of clothes. Toothbrush. Charger. Anything to get me out of that house before I exploded. Where are you going? She asked, suddenly panicked. I don't know, I said. Anywhere but here. She moved to block the door. We should talk about this. You can't just leave. I stared at her, a stranger in my house. You already left, Alyssa. Months ago. I'm just catching up. As I stepped outside, I heard her mutter something under her breath. I stopped. What was that? She looked me dead in the eye. You were never enough for me. That was it. That was the bullet. The one that did what no affair, no betrayal, no lie had been able to do yet, shatter whatever sliver of hope I had left. I didn't say a word. Just walked to my car, sat behind the wheel, and drove. The pain wasn't sharp. It was dull, heavy, like a dead weight chained to my chest. I kept thinking of every moment we'd had, every memory now tainted. The vacations. The holidays. Our wedding night. She was right about one thing. I wasn't enough for her. But maybe she was never enough for me either. I didn't sleep that night. Just drove around until the sky turned a shade of gray that made everything feel even emptier. I ended up at a motel off the freeway, the kind where the walls are thin and the remote is sticky. But it was quiet, and no one knew my name, and that was enough. Lying there, staring at the ceiling, I tried to picture her face. Not the face I saw last night. The old one. The one that used to light up when she looked at me. I couldn't find it anymore. All I could see now was the smirk at her dad's party. The way she looked at me like I was an inconvenience. A prop in her carefully curated little world. The next morning, I turned on my phone and saw the messages. From Alyssa. We need to talk. Come home. Don't throw everything away over one mistake. You're being dramatic. That last one made me laugh. Actually laugh out loud, bitter and sharp. Dramatic? She had dismantled our marriage behind my back, like some kind of covert mission, and I was the dramatic one? There was another message, too. One that froze me. From an unknown number. Hey man, I didn't know she was married. She told me you guys were separated. I'm sorry. Jason. It took me a second to process it. I read it again. And again. You didn't know? I stared at it for 5 straight minutes, then tossed my phone across the bed. My pulse was pounding again, but this time it wasn't just from rage. There was something else. A flicker of clarity. This guy, Jason, wasn't some mastermind homewrecker. He was just another pawn. Another lie Alyssa had carefully planted and nurtured. I couldn't let it go. I grabbed my keys and drove back to the house, unsure what I was even going to say. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. When I walked through the front door, she was already in the kitchen, like nothing happened. Coffee in hand. Wearing my college sweatshirt. Hey, she said softly, like she was greeting me after a long day at work. You look tired. I stared at her, not saying a word. Just trying to remember why I ever loved this woman. She looked innocent. Calm. The same woman who danced barefoot in our living room to Fleetwood Mac on our anniversary last year. But it was all camouflage. Underneath the skin was poison. I got your messages, I said. She sipped her coffee, nodding like she expected that. And I got a message from Jason. That made her flinch. Just barely. But I saw it. What did he say? He said he didn't know you were married. Said you told him we were separated. Her expression twisted into something half defensive, half apathetic. Well, it's not like we were really together these past few months. You slept in my bed last week. She rolled her eyes. So now you want to cling to technicalities? No, I said, stepping forward. I want to understand how someone who looked me in the eyes and promised forever could so easily lie with every breath. You think you're perfect? She snapped. You think just because you didn't cheat, you were some kind of saint? You stopped trying years ago. You made me feel invisible. And instead of talking to me about it, I said, you chose to vanish behind my back with some guy from a gym. Her eyes narrowed. You know what? Maybe Jason made me feel alive. Maybe that's something you forgot how to do. That hit like a hammer. But not because it was true, because I realized she believed it. She had rewritten the story in her head so thoroughly, she actually thought she was the victim here. You could have left, I said quietly. You could have walked away with some dignity. Instead, you stayed and poisoned what we had. She leaned against the counter, smug again. You act like this is some tragedy. We both know it wasn't perfect. You're just mad I ended it first. And that was it. That was the moment I knew there was no fixing anything. No apology, no therapy session, no couple's retreat in the woods was ever going to undo what she had done. And more importantly, who she had become. I walked upstairs, grabbed a duffel bag, and filled it with the rest of my stuff. She didn't follow me. She didn't ask me to stay. She didn't cry. As I zipped it shut, I looked around the room one last time. The framed photo of us on the nightstand. The perfume on her dresser. The sheets I now knew weren't just mine. I walked past her on the way out. She didn't look up. Just kept scrolling on her phone like none of this mattered. And maybe to her, it didn't. I stayed with my friend Cole for a few days. He didn't ask too many questions, just handed me a beer the first night and said, when you're ready, talk. Until then, the couch is yours. That's the kind of friend every man needs when the world flips upside down. The silence was loud, but it was mine. No fake apologies, no gaslighting, no perfume in the air reminding me of what used to be. The thing about betrayal is, it doesn't hit you all at once. It comes in waves. Sometimes it's rage that makes your hands clench without thinking. Other times, it's a quiet ache, like a tooth you forgot was cracked. The worst part is the remembering, those little moments that sneak in and sucker punch you. Like how she used to hum when she cooked, or how she wore my hoodie when she felt sick, or the way she used to grab my hand under the table at dinner parties. Then your mind shifts, and you remember the smirk, the hotel receipts, the way she stepped over your heart like it was nothing but a puddle on the sidewalk. Cole finally sat me down one night, cracked open a second beer, and said, "You gonna tell me what the hell happened, or do I have to start guessing?" I told him everything. From the retirement party to the phone messages to Jason's apology. He didn't interrupt once. Just stared into his drink and muttered, "Damn, man." And then he told me something that stuck. You gotta decide if you're trying to fix what broke or walking away from what was fake all along. I didn't answer him right then, but those words didn't leave me. I carried them into the next week, like a stone in my pocket, heavy and cold. I tried imagining what life would be like if I stayed, tried to salvage it. But every version of that future had one thing in common. I didn't trust her. Not anymore. And without trust, what was I even fighting for? On the fifth day, she showed up. Cole was out. I heard the knock and opened the door to find her standing there, sunglasses over her eyes even though it was late. Hair done. Lipstick perfect. Like she was going to brunch, not begging for her marriage. "Can we talk?" she said. I stepped aside. Let her in. She didn't sit. "I messed up," she started. "I know that. And I'm not here to pretend I didn't. But I've been thinking, maybe this doesn't have to be the end." She talked like we were negotiating a lease, not picking through the wreckage of our life. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching her try to act human again. "Jason was a mistake," she said. "He wasn't even, he wasn't you. And I know I should have told you, but I was scared. I didn't want to lose you. You lost me the second you decided I was disposable." Her eyes welled up. "It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. You laughed in my face in front of your family. You told him we were separated. You chose this, Alyssa." She looked away, finally sitting on the edge of the couch. "I didn't mean for it to go that far. I swear." I shook my head. "You always mean that." Every lie, every half-truth, you never mean it. But somehow, it always happens. A long silence stretched between us. I watched her, wondering if even now she felt any real regret, or if this was just another performance. I want to fix it, she whispered. No, I said. You want to reset it. You want to erase the fallout, not change the choices. She looked up at me then. For the first time, really looked. And maybe she realized something. That the man she thought would always be there, always forgive, always come back, wasn't standing in front of her anymore. You're not even going to try, she said. I tried for years. You just noticed when I stopped. She stood, face hardening again. Fine. Then this is on you. I smiled, bitter. Of course it is. She walked to the door, paused, then turned back. You'll regret this. Maybe, I said. But at least I'll regret it knowing I finally stood up for myself. The door clicked shut behind her, and the silence that followed didn't feel empty. It felt clean. 2 weeks passed. Not a word from her. No late-night texts. No calls. No, I miss you lies wrapped in apologies. At first, it felt like withdrawal. My mind kept drifting back to the weight of her next to me in bed, the sound of her voice in the morning, the small routines we built like clockwork. But every time I felt that pull, I reminded myself, those routines were infected. Every kiss, every meal, every shared joke, filtered through a lens of her hiding messages, slipping into hotel rooms, telling another man she missed him while lying next to me. I filed for divorce. It wasn't a dramatic decision. No music swelling in the background. Just a printed packet of papers, signed in silence, and dropped into a manila envelope. I didn't even tell her. Let her find out when she's served. Cole helped me move the rest of my stuff from the house a few days later. She wasn't home. Part of me hoped she'd show up. I wanted to see what kind of face she'd make when she saw me carrying out the last pieces of the life she torched. Instead, it was just me, Cole, and a heavy silence broken only by the sound of drawers opening and cardboard tape ripping. When I grabbed the last box from the bedroom, I found a note in the drawer of my nightstand. It wasn't romantic. Just 3 sentences in her handwriting. I know I ruined this. I never deserved you. I'm sorry I let the worst parts of me win. I read it twice. Folded it. Threw it in the trash. Because it was too late for sorry. It was too late for anything. The final thing I took was a framed picture of us on our wedding day. I didn't keep it. I just didn't want to leave it for her. I tossed it into the dumpster behind the house on the way out. There was something freeing about it. Like dragging out a rotting carcass. I moved into a small apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, just 2 rooms and some peace. I started going to the gym again. Not for revenge. Not to glow up and post thirst traps like she probably expected. Just for me. To feel something in my own skin again. I reconnected with old friends. Took a weekend trip with my brother. Started writing again, something I hadn't done in years. Pages filled with raw, bleeding honesty. Not for an audience. Just so I could look in the mirror and know I wasn't swallowing my own pain anymore. A few times I saw her name pop up in mutual friend group chats. Someone mentioned she was seeing someone new. Jason, probably. Or maybe someone else. It didn't matter. The damage was already done, and I wasn't in the business of cleaning up her wreckage anymore. One night, around 2 in the morning, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. But the voicemail played automatically as I stared at the screen. Hey, it's me. I heard about the papers. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but anyway, I just wanted to say I really did love you in my own way. And I know that's not enough. I don't know. I hope you're okay. I deleted it before it finished. She didn't deserve a reply. She didn't even deserve the words she spoke. The part that hurt the most, the part I'll probably carry for a long time, wasn't losing her. It was realizing she was never fully mine to begin with. I used to think betrayal felt like fire, explosive and hot and over quickly. But it's not. It's slow. Like rust. It eats at the foundation piece by piece until one day, everything just collapses. And when you crawl out of the rubble, coughing up dust and heartbreak, you realize something. You're still alive. Bruised. Burned. But alive. And sometimes that's enough to start again. Starting again wasn't as poetic as people make it sound. There were no deep epiphanies over sunrises or tearful moments of clarity. It was just Tuesday mornings where I didn't check her location anymore. Saturdays where I didn't spend an hour wondering why she hadn't texted back. Evenings where silence wasn't a threat, it was a blessing. But the truth is, she still came back sometimes. Not physically. In my head. Out of nowhere. I'd be in line at the grocery store and hear a laugh like hers. Or I'd walk past someone wearing her perfume, and for a second, I'd freeze. Every muscle tense, as if the past could grab me by the throat and drag me back into it. And then I'd remember the hotel bookings. The red dress. The way her voice sounded when she said, "You were never enough for me." I wasn't healing in a straight line. It came in crooked steps. Some days I felt like I was 10 feet above water, breathing easy. Other days, it felt like I was drowning in memories I didn't ask to keep. The first time I saw her in person after everything was at a mutual friend's birthday party. I hadn't planned to go, but Cole insisted, said I couldn't hide forever. I told him I didn't care if she was there. That was a lie. Of course I cared. She arrived late, wearing black. Her hair was longer. She looked the same, and not at all. Like someone wearing her skin but walking with a different soul. She looked surprised to see me, but not sorry, not nervous, just surprised. We didn't speak, not even a nod. She stayed on her side of the room, and I stayed on mine. I caught her glancing at me once, and I didn't look away. I wanted her to see it, that I was still standing, still breathing, still whole, even if I'd been broken. When the night was over, I walked out without saying goodbye to anyone. And as the door clicked behind me, I realized I didn't feel bitter. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel anything. That scared me more than rage ever did. Because indifference is the graveyard of love. It means the war is over. It means you finally let go of needing an apology, an explanation, or justice. You've buried the old version of yourself, the one who would have waited, who would have forgiven, who would have believed the lies one more time just to make the pain stop. That man died the night she said I wasn't invited to her father's party. What lived now is someone who understood his value didn't depend on her memory of him. In time, I met someone new. Slowly, cautiously. She didn't ask for too much. Didn't try to fix me. She just listened. And when I told her about Alyssa, not all the details, just enough, she didn't say, "I'd never do that." She said, "I'm sorry that happened to you. You didn't deserve it." Those words, they broke something in me. Not the kind of break that destroys. The kind that releases pressure. The kind that finally lets you breathe again. It wasn't love yet. Maybe it wouldn't be. But it was safe. And after what I'd been through, safe felt like a miracle. One night, I stood on my balcony, watching the city lights, holding a drink in my hand. And I thought about everything that happened. The lies. The betrayal. The pain. And then I thought about the man who stood through all of it and never collapsed. I raised my glass to no one. To him. I whispered. To the man who stayed loyal when no one was watching. To the man who chose dignity over revenge. To the man who finally walked away, not because he stopped loving her, but because he started loving himself. A few months later, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. The handwriting on it was familiar, too neat, too careful. Alyssa. I knew it before I even opened it. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity still had claws. Inside was a letter. No theatrics. No perfume sprayed on the paper. Just ink and confession. She wrote that she'd started therapy. That for the first time, she was actually sitting with the shame she used to dodge. She said Jason had ended things not long after I left. That apparently, cheating wasn't the fairy tale escape route she thought it would be. He had seen through her quickly. Maybe because he hadn't built years of love around her first. She said she didn't expect forgiveness. Didn't want to rekindle anything. She just wanted to say it truthfully for once. And here's the thing. I didn't feel triumphant reading it. I didn't feel like I'd won. I just felt done. She finally said everything I used to pray she'd say. She admitted she tore down the house we built because she didn't believe she deserved it. That she'd been afraid I would leave one day, so she decided to do it first, in the cruelest way she could. She called it self-sabotage. I called it cowardice. But at least now, she owned it. I folded the letter and slid it back into the envelope. I didn't text her. Didn't write back. Didn't need to. Closure wasn't a phone call or a final meeting at a cafe with tears and apologies. It was this, feeling nothing while holding the words I once would have died to hear. The woman I'd married was gone long before she slept with someone else. The woman who wrote that letter? She wasn't a villain anymore. She was just a stranger. And I had stopped mourning strangers. Life didn't become a fairy tale after that. There was no everything happens for a reason glow. But things got better. Slowly. Steadily. I found peace in small things. Cooking dinner alone and liking the quiet. Reading without checking the clock. Smiling at someone on the street and meaning it. I stopped needing people to understand what I'd been through. The right ones already did. The rest didn't matter. And eventually, one morning over coffee and a terrible jazz playlist, the woman I'd been seeing, Rachel, reached across the table, touched my hand, and said, "You don't flinch anymore when I say I love you." I didn't even realize I had stopped flinching. That was when I knew. I had made it out of the storm. I had scars, sure, but I also had peace. And that peace wasn't given by anyone else, it was earned. I never needed revenge. I didn't need her to suffer or feel what I felt. That was the old version of me, the man drowning in betrayal, swinging at shadows. The man I am now? He's not bitter. He's awake. He's free. And if you're reading this, if you're still in it, still bleeding, still waiting for an apology or for someone to realize what they lost, hear me. You don't need closure from the one who hurt you. You just need to love yourself more than the idea of them. Walk away. Let the silence do what the screaming never could. Because the version of you waiting on them to change, that version deserves peace too. A year to the day since I walked out of that house, I stood in front of the mirror, buttoning a clean white shirt. No reason in particular, just felt like dressing like the man I had become. Stronger, clearer, lighter. Behind me, the apartment was quiet, warm. Rachel was still asleep, curled up in the blankets with that little frown she got when she dreamed. The same frown that used to remind me of pain now reminded me of trust. She didn't fix me. She never tried to. She just held space for the man who chose to rebuild himself piece by piece. I looked at my reflection and thought back to who I used to be. The man who brought dessert to a party he wasn't even invited to. The man who stood silent while his wife humiliated him with a smirk. The man who thought loyalty meant suffering quietly. He wasn't weak. He was just believing in someone who wasn't real anymore. And now? Now I don't need to be anyone's second choice. Not a backup plan. Not a placeholder until something more exciting comes along. I'm not just surviving what she did. I'm thriving despite it. That day, I walked to the park with my camera. Snapped photos of strangers laughing, kids chasing pigeons, couples holding hands like the world had nothing left to break. I sat on a bench for an hour, not doing anything. Just breathing. Not haunted. Not waiting. Not wondering who she's with or if she regrets it. Because it's not my story anymore. She's a footnote in a book I've already closed. And the man who reads this now, he's not bitter, not broken. He's better. If there's one thing I'd tell anyone standing in the ashes of betrayal, it's this. Don't chase explanations. Don't waste your soul rewriting someone else's lies. You didn't lose them. They lost you. Let that be enough. And then walk. Walk without looking back. Because everything you were hoping to find in them, you'll discover in yourself. Eventually. And when you do, it won't be loud. It won't be fireworks or applause. It'll just be peace. And that peace? It'll be the loudest silence you've ever known.